Love.
Fine. Certainly I can tell you what
Love.
pie is.
Okay, so when it comes to Josephine County in southern Oregon, there's a lot we could talk about. Like the recall effort against county commissioners, or the homelessness crisis with the whole Supreme Court case, or the controversial conviction of a black firefighter, or the problem of missing people, or numerous other controversies that go on here. I'm actively pursuing coverage of a couple of those stories, but earlier this year, we covered the issue of the Josephine Community Library's Grants Pass branch dealing with the termination of their $1 a year lease agreement with the county.
It just hit really hard, and it felt like eviction.
Can't have a community without a library.
I mean, it would be immediately devastating.
When you are dissatisfied with their behavior, it comes from you.
We had to leave that episode on a cliffhanger ending, so in this program, we're back in Josephine County once again with a focus on the library. And this time, I'm happy to say I can provide an ending with slightly more closure. But, to recap, in January of this year, 2025, the Josephine County Board of Commissioners voted to terminate the Grants Pass Library's long-standing $1 a year lease agreement. See, the library in Josephine is a separate entity from the county government, a library district. But the building itself is county property that the district essentially rents.
This library has been in this building since 1959, continuously.
Prior to this issue, this rent has been set at $1 a year as a way of fulfilling the county's charter obligation to support and maintain a library. By terminating this lease, the future of the library's presence was brought into question. Community backlash followed, and communication between commissioners and the library board became strained.
I hope that it's a really good conversation. I don't expect that it will be, to be honest with you.
Yes, if everybody's quiet, I'll remind everybody to be quiet.
This isn't a county versus a community library. This is not.
The atmosphere was one of uncertainty and frustration as the parties attempted to negotiate, but came up dry after a series of miscommunications amid underlying political tension.
It could be related to book banning. I don't know.
They basically went woke.
Explicit books on kids, how to teach them how to have sex.
I don't want to pay my taxes to something that doesn't benefit me.
That's where our coverage left off when I last reported on this issue. It's more complicated than I can fully summarize here, so I encourage you to watch our previous coverage online, but this is the gist.
I think the library should just sign it. It's good.
Since then, we've been keeping our ear to the floor, following the story as it has continued to unfold, and now, 10 months after all this started, I bring you the conclusion. I'm Keegan Van Hook, and this is Us As We Are.
Love.
Pie. As the record plays.
Love.
Pie.
Us As We Are is made possible in part by the Roundhouse Foundation, a private family foundation that supports creative solutions to the unique challenges associated with rural culture and the landscapes of the Pacific Northwest. Additional funding by the Elizabeth C. Peace Memorial Fund for Education and Social Welfare, and by the members of Southern Oregon PBS. Thank you.
And we just really want to thank everybody for coming out today.
We had a really positive, amazing event at our Grants Pass branch. Evergreen Federal Bank sponsored the update to one of the Bear Fest bears. So it's really a new Bear Fest bear, which is the public art in Grants Pass. I think there's 60 bears that are placed all around the city. Now we have a specific location for our Once Upon a Time bear.
Kel, who is the amazing artist.
The library is special to me because I started reading as a small child with my mom and my brother and I going to the San Francisco Library. It just worked out so well. It was a long haul. It was about 800 hours and $2,200 and a great experience.
Yeah, this is a huge celebration, not only of community, thank you, Rebecca, but also of early literacy. So I'm very excited about that. Thank you, and thank you to the Chamber of Commerce.
It's been quite a year. So we kicked off our year on January 6th with our commissioners voting to terminate the lease for this very branch where we celebrated a new Bear Fest bear today. It's been a really slow crawl. So we never received the official notice of termination, which I'm very grateful for, because we do not want to leave this building. So we'd love to get that renewal for 5 more years. And they did authorize Commissioner Barnett to negotiate with us, and we've met twice. I did see him here today.
I was wondering how you came to that.
The community is behind us. And so events like today demonstrate that.
Well, that was one of the reasons I said yes today. I do art, and that's basically what it is. And with the library, it all of a sudden became a thing, a charged thing, political thing.
And a huge shout out to Melissa and the whole crew at Evergreen Federal Bank for all that they do to support the community. They've sponsored the bear here.
So how does that kind of make you feel to see those, in some cases, kind of prominent institutions in the community putting their weight behind the library?
Of all things, it makes me feel more secure.
I saw that you were named the Oregon Librarian of the Year.
My staff nominated me, so it makes me feel like I'm doing a good job and helping them to feel secure in their jobs. And then my colleagues across the state who recognize the challenges that we're facing in Josephine County and in Grants Pass and are really throwing their support behind me. And it's just fuel for my jets. It just keeps me going, and I need that.
1, 2, 3. This was definitely a moment of levity, but good vibes only go so far in politics, even at the regional level. Hard negotiations would continue through the following weeks. The ribbon on the Bearfest Bear was cut in June. Our team would return to Grants Pass in August, when a new lease for the library felt like it could finally soon be on the table. Community members and library supporters were excitedly and nervously anticipating a vote during an August 14th county business meeting.
All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, August the 14th, 2025. It is 10 a.m.
The library is one of the few true public spaces left that is open to everyone.
I can go there, I can see friends, I can use the computers, read the magazines.
It provides a space for students or people who don't have other places to go.
If you think an education is expensive, try stupidity.
Almost 30% of the county residents are library card holders.
But exposing these kinds of policy decisions needs to be done.
Thank you, sir. Let's, no applause. No applause. Please respect the sign right here. If we get an outburst like this again, the meeting will be over. Thank you very much. All right, against the back wall over there.
The board chair is Andreas Bleck. He has been trying to take a role of leadership that looks at all sides. I'll say it that way. Chris Barnett is the second commissioner, and he is very involved in the community. But Chris also said back in March, I have a phone, I don't need to go to the library.
Until you came out with these cell phones, tablets, the internet, the computer age, back in the day we all had to use library. Library in school, this library over here, but I have not used a library in probably 15 years.
Ron Smith is the third commissioner, and he's very community oriented and I think wants to do the right thing for the community.
Our county charter, section 14.5, says the board shall provide for the support and maintenance of the main library and library branches.
I have the charter right here. Let's open it. We have a community library. It is not a Josephine County library.
The library system in general has gone down a completely different path than what I remember when I was a kid.
Our children are innocent, and we have to maintain their innocence. And the way we do that, by what they read and by what they see.
All the departments need to pay their fair share, and things need to be pared down a little bit to make sure that we're not always running in the red.
Nobody in their right mind would lease a building for $1 a year.
Government is not for profits, and we should not be guided by what profit we can make.
The community library is a district. So in a sense, it's a government entity. It's not a private organization. You know, it's appropriate for them to have a $1 lease.
And what you guys have done to the library is shameful.
So I'm going to turn my back to you, as you three have done to most of the public.
can Google the fact that Obama's family is from Kenya. This is not a secret. He is a traitor. He's a treasonous traitor. And what is the penalty for treason? Thank you.
Thank you. Can I remind everybody, let's keep a sense of decorum here, because the snickering and the snide comments, they're not helping anybody.
I've heard from a lot of the library folks. I love my library. I get ya. I have a library card too. And then I've heard from the other ones, make them pay their fair share. I've heard that too.
Myself and our legal counsel, Mark, had been meeting with Commissioner Barnett and his legal counsel with the county. And were able to come to an accord, an agreement that the library would pay more for staying in the building and do more for the facility, and the county would continue to partner.
And I've worked very closely with Kate Lasky, the Josephine Community Library CEO, and their council to develop a lease that is fair, sustainable, and satisfactory for both the library and the citizens of Josephine County. The Josephine Community Library will cover all operational and maintenance responsibilities, including utilities, janitorial services, landscaping, parking lot upkeep, HVAC maintenance, and both interior and exterior repairs. The agreement also includes $20,000, $424 upfront payment for a roof replacement that is much needed at no extra cost to you, the taxpayers.
In the previous lease, there was a convenience clause, which meant that either party could terminate for convenience. That's the stipulation that they used to terminate that lease. We really wanted assurances that that wouldn't happen again.
The term is a 5-year agreement, allowing the library district to focus on its planned new library construction in 2027.
So that felt like compromise, and you kind of expect compromise to come out of a negotiation. And I think Commissioner Barnett did a good job. What he likes to say, which is a win-win.
The proposed lease agreement is a win-win for the community and the county. Make it a win-win for those people, make a win-win out of it. So it's a win-win that way. For a true win-win for everybody involved.
One thing that was a constant was Commissioner Barnett saying that we're going to get to a win-win. And understandably, I was initially skeptical, but he was right.
The win is really for the community because we want to be able to continue to provide service.
Thank you again for the collaboration. Thank you, Commissioner Barnett. And I look forward to moving this forward today. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, no. If we're going to go down that road, I'll shut this meeting down right now, and I don't want to do that. Please don't force my hand. I don't believe that there'll be ample time to discuss this. And I would like to entertain to table this hearing until next weekly business session where we can finish this. And my calculations show that we have 139 days to the end of the year. And I'm not saying that we need to use any more than we would need to. But I think it's reasonable for us to continue this meeting until the next weekly business session. What are the board's thoughts?
Without objection.
We need a motion a motion to continue the meeting.
I'll make a motion to continue the meeting.
Okay, we have a motion. I'll second that motion.
No, wait a second. I want to get this done today.
We're going to put an end to the meeting right now. Okay, that's it. You guys are being very disrespectful of this process. You guys are all mature adults. Okay, that's it. This meeting is now adjourned. It is 12:36. Thank you.
Commissioner Black just shut it down. And so, again, we have to wait. Again, this is being postponed. Again, we don't know what will happen. And the library has to operate with that uncertainty and instability.
I don't know why he did that. And it surprised the other two commissioners as well. And I think upset them. They wanted to get this over with.
it almost reminds me of Catholic school, like sit and look straight forward and don't express an emotion. That's an unreasonable expectation.
It's important for me to mention that Commissioner Bleck didn't accept a request for comment in this story, so there's only so much that can be speculated about his motivations or intentions through this controversy. 1 week after this incident, there would be another business meeting.
Sign the lease! Oh, sorry, I'm Vote for the lease! Vote for the lease!
All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, August the 21st, 2025. It is 10 a.m.
Going into these negotiations, we had our words, didn't we, Ms. Lasky, and your attorney? And I disagreed with some things, and you guys disagreed with some things. I did some tough love in there. And the best outcome for all right now, and if you were in my shoes, is a win-win.
I believe that he has taken a turn. His actions, even from the beginning of the negotiation, facilitated compromise. And to embrace some kind of a compromise like that, you kind of have to see it from the other person's point of view.
It's something the community has demonstrated in support that I've never seen. And when you have support like that, how can I look the other way?
I give him credit for listening to the community, but I think public pressure has had a lot to do with that. When I'm giving out my kudos, I give them out to the community.
We're listening to be fair and balanced for the betterment of our community, period. And I think we need to make our decisions all the time that way, shouldn't we?
Personally, I can't help but think that there's sort of a misunderstanding about the library of 2025. Libraries sort of became, in some ways, one of the front lines of the culture wars.
The culture war of American politics has been an underlying current through this entire situation. The initial vote to terminate the lease came during former Commissioner John West's last meeting as the chair of the Board of Commissioners, before leaving office due to a successful recall campaign. When I spoke to John back in February, most of his reasoning came down to his view of the county's finances.
The charter was done in 1981. That's when it was a county library. The charter does not supply support and maintenance for a community library.
In emails that were made public by Commissioner Ron Smith, who also didn't respond to a request for comment, John derided spending taxpayer money on a library that pushes DEI, transgender, and LBGTQ.
The library has become more woke, more everything with their explicit books on kids, how to teach them how to have sex.
And it's true. You will find queer positive books on library shelves, and that stuff is offensive to some Americans. In fact, controversial material, even broadly offensive material, being found on library shelves isn't a new phenomenon.
We've always had these books. It's the point. You're supposed to be able to access the information to even decide if you disagree with it. I have a really great example for you. The person who put in this request for reconsideration a few years ago, it was for RFK's The Truth About COVID-19. Somebody wanted us to pull that from the library because they said it was full of lies. And I researched the book and found that it was very controversial, obviously, and in high demand. And RFK was a well-respected dignitary in our country. So we're going to retain the book. And so that person did not receive a removal of the book.
You know, on the library books, you can contest any book that you don't like. And I know that there's a procedure.
So I did get a request for reconsideration once for the Diary of Anne Frank. As part of her diary, she was exploring her own sexuality. And there's a small excerpt where she's describing her private parts. And you gotta read the whole book. Like, this is a little girl alone, hiding in a wall, and that is not the most important thing to her. So then to request it to be pulled because of an excerpt, that's what I'm seeing today.
I did reach out to John to see if he wanted to talk to me more about this, but never heard back from him. Regardless of what is alleged in terms of why the library lease was terminated back in January, there isn't evidence to suggest the current commissioners are directly motivated by these issues.
Commissioner Smith and I, 3 hours in our term, and this happened. Okay?
Instead, during public meetings, the discussion was focused on the financial and legal elements of the negotiated lease.
This will have financial repercussions on our county, on our citizens, and there will be political ramifications of this lease on the people here up on the dais.
I don't think Black supports it. I think that his actions have demonstrated that, hoping that Barnett and Smith would vote for good business.
I'm a conservative, I'm a Republican, people know that. But you know what? I listen to everybody and I serve everybody.
And I can imagine that they might want to put this to rest and move on to other business within the county.
I make a motion to approve the lease as stated.
Okay, I'd like to make an amendment to that motion, that the termination clause as presented here be stricken and be replaced with the original termination clause that is in the current lease agreement. That is my motion.
What happens next is a little complicated and took a bit to play out, so let me help summarize. Commissioner Bleck's amendment puts a no-cause 30-day convenience termination clause back into the lease agreement, modifying what Commissioner Barnett negotiated with the library board.
So I withdraw my motion. I don't like the termination clause in here. I don't agree with that.
We have a situation in the county concerning our demic properties where we have public health and we have planning. If that property were to sell, we have to have a location to be able to put those.
An at convenience termination clause is a problem for the library.
It puts my board at risk of being evicted without cause or notification. That convenience clause is not advisable, and it was an important negotiating point for the library district board. And I am asking you to retain a normal termination for cause.
This termination clause is not unusual. It is common, and in fact, it is in the current lease right now, the way the lease is.
They voted on the amendment.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett?
No.
Commissioner Black?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-1.
Then they voted to approve the amended lease.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett?
No.
Commissioner Black?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-1.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we will wait to hear back from the library, giving them the authorization to sign this agreement. And once it's signed, to bring it back to the board and we will sign it. All right, thank you, everyone. Moving on to the agenda.
What happened? What just happened?
Well, they changed the lease that we had negotiated with Commissioner Barnett, and they made it possible so the county could terminate the lease without notice, without cause, at any time. And that is a non-negotiable for the library district board. That's how we got here in the first place. It was unexpected for me because he hasn't voiced his concerns for the 3 months. And he waited until the final moment to be able to do that, to pressure a commissioner into voting for it.
The good news is the lease did get approved, but with an amendment. And I didn't agree with the amendment, but my colleagues did. I can't speak for that. I wish my colleagues would have brought that up earlier and we could have revised that or we could have discussed that. But I'm hoping the library considers just accepting it as is and just move forward with operations.
I don't personally believe that our district board will sign it, and that kind of takes us back to square one.
I think the library, they just want some peace of mind that they can continue operations without interruption. You got a supporter on this side that I'm not going to let them get evicted if I can help it. I think that would be unfair and that wouldn't be right. And if they don't accept it, I really feel like this could go south.
I think we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming. You know, a 30-day out is just not an acceptable situation for a public institution that thousands of people in this community rely on.
This was something that was completely unacceptable, something that we can't agree to. Our lawyer submitted a response back to the commissioners clarifying that and asking that we instead take the termination language from the county's lease with the YMCA and use that.
I've heard that the library lease is modeled similarly to ours, and I just want to say how much we appreciate the lease.
They do not have a convenience clause.
So we have to leave our options open for us as a board to where we're going to put these county offices should that become necessary.
I was the public health director for 6 years. The county at the time was facing many of the same financial challenges that they are now. They were talking about it when I left in 2017. So all the same conversations are happening. Nobody that I know of is really actively trying to do a development plan for that part of town. I think that the commissioners are just looking at new ways to solve old problems, and they're not getting the job done.
The uncertainty of our lease reminds us that we cannot rely on this facility forever. Stability and long-term planning require a new home.
We just completed the schematic design phase of the building project and getting ready to start in design development.
This is a big project that takes time. We need the stability of a lease in our current building so we can focus on raising funds that we need for the new library in downtown Grants Pass.
What I'm starting to notice is what I call rage giving, where we have folks that see what's going on and they want to support and help. Very fortunate to receive almost $1 million gift that's anonymous through the Oregon Community Foundation, as well as several $250,000 gifts that have come from individuals in our community.
I'm going to be a little bold in my statement and say that we have no intention of leaving this building. We're here and we're staying here.
Gentlemen, welcome very much. Glad to have you here with us. Any comment about the library and the controversy surrounding the change in wording that the library is, I believe, going to turn down?
They got everything they wanted. Okay, so one item.
Not quite. Not quite.
Not quite. They got everything but a clause in there that they didn't like.
I'm for the library. I believe in teaching kids to read. I believe in the institution of libraries. Part of what I don't understand is that 27,000 card holders for the library could solve this problem very easily by pitching in $1 a month.
They don't like the for convenience clause in there. Okay,
correct.
Chuck?
Right.
But everything else is still in there.
Is cause still in there?
So the for cause is in there, but 15.2.
No, read it exactly as it says.
Yeah, but Chuck, you're digging too much in the weeds here.
No, I'm not digging in the weeds.
You're digging in the weeds.
No, well,
15.2 for convenience is what they don't like in there.
Okay.
And Chuck, I don't know why you're arguing with us about this, but you don't have to.
Well, I haven't got an answer to the question yet.
Okay, you were there. You watched the meetings. Why are you asking us again when we already had the meetings last week? You already know what's.
I think that's what the public wants, don't you?
Chuck, it's simple. They got everything they wanted. They got everything they wanted.
Evidently not.
I talked to Kate yesterday. Stop. All right, Chuck, you're trying to steer this and spin this. Stop it.
I'm not spinning it anywhere. I'm talking about exactly what is in the news.
You're arguing. Stop arguing with us. Okay?
We'll ask the questions here, Chris. This one has really almost divided the community. That's the reason for the questions here, is to get the information out. Are there any further negotiations going on now?
I'm sure there will be.
Unless we remove that termination clause, they're not willing to move forward. Yes, that's right. And my argument is it's been in there. It's been in there since the inception of this lease. So all of a sudden now they want us to give a concession, the biggest concession of the whole lease. They want us to relinquish that. I think it's an amateur move in negotiation.
The difference is it's been in there a long time, but never exercised. It was exercised under the previous leadership of the board, and I can understand their concern because now it has been exercised and they see what could happen. Having researched all of our dollar leases, no other lease has a convenience clause. Yeah, they do have default clause. Yeah, but none of them have a 30-day convenience.
But none of them have a levy either, where we're raking in lots of money. Well, and they're able to pay for everything.
There's one of our tenants that brings in millions, double millions. And it gives $1 a year lease. If you look at it, I think the library is probably bringing in the least amount of money than at least two of the other $1 a year leases.
All of these $1 a year lease agreements are situations where at one point the county provided a service to the community. And then the county decided that they would no longer provide that service. Another organization, be it a nonprofit or another governmental entity, stepped forward and said, hey, we'll take on these services for you. And the county said, great, thank you.
we'll enter into an agreement with you where we will allow you to continue using the space we were occupying for $1 a year.
I don't misunderstand me. I am not against the library. I'm being demonized as being, I want the library to be there. I want them to flourish, but at the same time, we have to go through a contract. This is all about negotiations. This is about the money.
We're going to go into another round next week, and I'm really hopeful that we're going to end this because we're done going back and forth. I think we know where it's at. It's just one little item. Everything else is great. I would say 99% done. Okay, it's one thing.
I think the commissioners are going to give the library what it wants because the community is demanding it.
Ultimately, Jennifer would be right. To make a long story short, there was more back and forth between the library board and the county. The language in the lease was adjusted, and Chris Barnett brought back a new version to his fellow commissioners, once again dropping the convenience termination clause.
Still the same termination in their 30-day for cause, correct? Yes.
So can I point out that we typically have a for convenience clause in most of our agreements. It's very common.
Yes, the 30-day no cause termination provisions are common in airport hangar leases. They're standard in there. They're also common when perhaps one room is being rented out. They're also common in landlord-tenant residential rental agreements and lease agreements. But for going concerns, for business operations, a 30-day no-cause termination is very unusual. The reason for that is that the business needs to find a new place. It needs to pack up its stuff and leave.
I would disagree with your explanation there. I would just say that those that negotiated this prior lease did a very good job on behalf of the county. And that's all that I would say.
Yes.
After such a drawn-out process, nobody in the library's camp really expected prompt movement from the county. But suddenly, in the September 30th meeting, this happened.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the current lease that legal counsel's presented with them paying the rent and taking care of the building and move forward at this time.
And I'll second that motion.
Great, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
No, I think we discussed this quite thoroughly over the months.
I'm disappointed that we weren't able to do a better job for all citizens of Josephine County. And with that, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes.
Commissioner Black?
No.
Motion carried 2-1.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We'll go item.
It's so nice that that's past us. I know you guys all know what I'm talking about. And now we get to focus on amazing library programs, which is where our energy really should be going. Here on my desk right here is a fully executed signed lease, and now we have the certainty of a 5-year lease. They can only terminate this lease for cause, and we're also responsible for the maintenance of the building. But it's passed, which means the specter of eviction is gone.
That uncertainty is gone. We know that we have our building now, and now we can focus on raising the funds we need.
So grateful again to all of the community. This happened because of the community support that we have.
I get to get back to doing my job, and it feels like a huge burden is lifted off of my shoulders.
The lease is settled for 5 years. The rancor and the confusion and the bad feelings, I think, remain. Somebody from Grants Pass Friends of the Library filed a public records request to find out exactly how much the library had to spend on legal fees, and it was almost $20,000.
I just want people to understand that we should put down our differences and unite more. My big thing about unity in the community, uniting Josephine County is my big unofficial thing I want to do. It's true.
I think there's a lot of criticism of him in the community right now, and I 100% know that this would not have been finalized without his support.
Yeah, we have differences. Not everything's going to be perfect. But at the end of the day, I want to be able to say hi to you at a store and an event.
Here, declaration. These
intrusive self-image.
Okay, so then also, as we speak, we're hearing banging and hammering going on the roof.
Yes.
What's going on?
So the roof is being repaired. They couldn't have done this closer to the point where I think that roof probably would have collapsed. We've got the roof being repaired and an approved lease for Josephine Community Library, Grants Pass branch. It's amazing.
Us As We Are is made possible in part by the Roundhouse Foundation, a private family foundation that supports creative solutions to the unique challenges associated with rural culture and the landscapes of the Pacific Northwest. Additional funding by the Elizabeth C. Peace Memorial Fund for Education and Social Welfare, and by the members of Southern Oregon PBS. Thank you.
Are there more? Are there more? Are there more? Are there more?